Delks, could you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
What's up, Mike? Thanks for having me on the show. This is a dream. I've listened to this show for over a decade, I think. So very cool to be on it. So my name is Courtney Delks. His maiden name, Courtney Moses. My husband and I just celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary this past summer. So my husband's name is Jordan Delks. And we have 2 kids. I have an 8-year-old son named Grayson, and I have a 5-year-old, almost 6-year-old daughter named Caroline. And so I'm a wife and a mom, as well as we run a business called Compete Training Academy that started on the driveway where I grew up playing. It's where I really spent a lot of hours perfecting mindset, perfecting skill set of basketball, and just having this desire as a 5'6" girl from the middle of nowhere in Indiana to have a dream to play at the highest level. And so I was 2010 Indiana Miss Basketball, which is crazy to think it was 15 years ago.
That's cool.
Played basketball at Purdue for 4 years. And since then have really embarked onto the entrepreneurship journey in basketball training, but more specifically, it's really focused on faith and mindset, which is where we really dive into the trenches with people, whether it's athletes or it's CEOs of companies or it's moms and dads. Like, we work with people who are high performers and just are ready for that next level of themselves. And so I'm really excited to be on the show today and to dive in.
Yeah, I love it. I'd love to hear your backstory. I mean, obviously, superstar basketball player, but what got you into like this side of it, like physical preparation, working out? What got you started on that journey?
Man, 6th grade, where do I go to? Science fair, grade science fair. Yeah. I remember we were playing down at the behind Tom Abernathy's place there on 96th Street. My AAU team would go down and play in this fall league. We were a girls team playing against guys like the Carmel Pups and all these Zionsville teams and stuff. But I did my science fair on if you eat healthy food before a game, how does it affect your performance? And if you eat unhealthy food, so I'd eat like chicken, broccoli, and then I would eat, like fast food, completely skewed, like, the bias behind it. But like when I ate healthy, I performed well. When I didn't. And so in 6th grade, like I just always have had a love for the physical prep side of things. From, I think that as a 5'6", that was one of the things that, I had to be. I had to be quick. I had to be conditioned. I had to be strong to be able to do the things and have the goals I wanted to have. So it really was instilled in me. I go back to that moment, but I just always have loved it. It's one of those things that's always been a passion. When I went to Purdue, I studied health and fitness. So that was what I studied. And then when I got out of school, I love Purdue. I love my degree from Purdue, but I always say that, like, I learned so much. I took Mike's physical prep 101, I think.
Yeah, that's an OG course right there.
Yeah, so when I took that course, it was actually, I took that course after I'd had my son. So like I'd be up late at night, doing the mom things, nursing and all those things. And like I would study the physical prep 101 during those hours. I call it the dark 30 hours, right?
Yeah.
I learned so much during that course, and I just started applying it into our business. And then I think it was through that you kind of introduced me to Lee Taft, and I studied Lee Taft and the speed side of things. And in 2020 did kind of like a mentorship with him during COVID time. And from there, like, it's just really ripple effect and has taken off. And I just know that there's 3 planes of existence that we live on. It's the mind, body, and spirit. And just really, we have to take care of our bodies if we're going to perform, whether it's as an athlete or whether it's as a business owner or as a parent. Like, you gotta be working.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one other thing before we kind of get into the meat of this here, I would love to hear about your entrepreneurship journey, because I know you guys have like this really unique story, very humble beginnings. And I think that's just something that's so unique to you guys. So I would love to hear about kind of how you guys got started, where you got started, and just give us that kind of background on you.
Absolutely. So when I would go home, so as a college basketball player, the month of May and like 2 weeks in August are like the only time you get off. And so when I would go back home, grew up in Sweetser, Indiana, my parents had poured like a half court, little basketball court at our house that I would train on all through high school, college. And I started having specifically the high school football coach in our town, his son would ride his bicycle down that had the pegs on it. Any of my bicycle lovers with the pegs on. So his peg bike, he'd ride it down to our house. He'd have his money in his pocket. he'd come down and I would train him on the driveway. And then other people started coming. Then people started driving from out of town coming in. And then back at school, there was a professor that approached me. I remember in front of Mackey Arena on the sidewalk and said, "Hey, I have a daughter. I'd love for you to train her." I was like, "Great." So I met him at the park. And at this time, it was before NIL. So like I was scared to death. I was doing something wrong, going to lose my eligibility for making like $30 an hour.
Right.
We'll go like sign autographs and make like 10 grand in an hour. I'm like, okay, well, that didn't even worry about that. But then I was training kids during college. I would train some professors' kids. And then after I graduated, it was that moment of, okay, what's next? And I can remember sitting in a double wide mobile home in Marion, Indiana, and just, really seeking, what's next. Jordan and I were engaged. We were getting married the next year. And this calling of basketball training, with the mindset and the sports performance, kind of like a one-stop shop is what always kept coming to my mind. And so started doing training, still continuing on the driveway, any church gym we could get. And then it was in 2017 that we bought this farm in the middle of Indiana. I had a dairy barn in it. And so like when I walked in, it was the dirt floor, but I just saw how high the beams were. And I was like, man, I got a basket in my car. My son was 4 months at the time, Grayson was. And so I was out giving him a little ride to get him asleep. And he was in there. And I grabbed my basket, I went back in the barn, and I shot this ball up, and I was like, this is it. And so I called Jordan and said, hey, I found it. And we had looked at like probably 15 to 20 houses before this, and like nothing was it. And I said, I found it. And he's like, nah, like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm scheduling a meeting with the realtor and like be ready to put an offer in. He's like, you haven't even seen the house. And I said, I don't care. Like, this is it. And so we bought the property. We were actually on an exclusion list, which I didn't even know was a thing. And so we were on the exclusion list. There were, I think, 8 to 10 other offers on the house before us. And we were on this exclusion list we didn't know about, us and another family. And we actually trumped every offer. And this was like the way the market is now. Like you got to, offer above to get a house. We offered below asking price and we got the barn. And so we started training out this dairy barn where they used to milk cows, became like the weight room. And then we had the basketball portion of it. We had this little bitty light that we operated from. There was no heat. So we're moving the salamander heater around. Yeah. And like, we just kept going. That was in 2015. And now we have that barn that we call it the old barn. We have a newer barn. It's actually where I'm sitting at now. We have a podcast studio in it. It's heated. We have a red light therapy, cold plunge, a little area with Sorenex equipment to do your workouts and stuff, and we have a half court basketball court in there with a gun, and so it's out in the middle of nowhere. And people just love to come here, and it's away from the busyness. It's different, and it's really intentional, and that's really what we want is to be intentional, and so that's kind of. It's two kids that were hungry and had a passion for that. And, we had some other coaching jobs and we looked at each other and said, how are we going to live out our true values if we're both coaching? We're not going to see each other the way we want to raise our kid. And so there's, I could go a whole podcast on all the history of the business and decisions that were made and how we were able to get to where we're at in 2025. But yeah, so that's just a little snippet that you can kind of get. There's these two kids and that fell in love at Purdue that love basketball, and now we have a business and a ministry.
Yeah, I love it. You need to make sure you send me some pictures because I don't think as amazing as your story is, until you see it and you see because I've seen the journey, right? I've seen like the hoop in the backyard, right? I saw the 1.0 old barn. I've seen the new space. So it's very, very cool. But I think the thing I want to focus with you the most on today is this idea of mindset training, because I know so many people talk about it. I think back even 10 years ago, it was almost taboo to talk about seeing a sports psychologist or needing to work with somebody on your mental piece. So I would love to hear, let's just start very kind of surface level and we can drill down, but what got you interested in mindset training?
I think what got me interested in mindset training is as a player and having experience, playing at a high level, there came a point where I was wondering, okay, like what else is there? Like I'm doing all the work. I'm conditioning, I'm doing my speed work, I'm getting in the gym and I'm spending hours putting up extra shots. I'm watching film. I'm leading, I'm reading leadership books, I'm communicating, but like there's got to be something else that like there just felt like there was another level I could go to. And so
Sure.
I was always wondering, during my era, it was like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird were kind of like Tamika Catchings were the go-to girls that you look up to. And so I was always like, what drills are they doing? Maybe it's a drill they're doing. And then I started hearing a lot about, players doing yoga and like I'm like, okay, that like do that, but like that's still the body. Like, and faith is a strong foundation of mine. And so like I was active in the word, I was active in my faith, and I was still like, there's gotta be something else like that can help. And so I saw the psychologist at Purdue because I think it's too, like when you go away from home, I think that you need other people in your corner. So like I was at that spot, I believe it was my freshman year, that I was just like feeling the weight of transitioning from home, the weight of the point guard in front of me had tore ACL. So like I was moved in to the point guard position, like the start of the season, right at the beginning, coach grabbed my jersey. Hey, this is your team. And then I remember like the course load of school and like hitting that. I think it was the first time I felt my nervous system really be like it was out of sync. And I wouldn't have identified it knowing it was my nervous system that was like hitting a breaking point, but that's what was happening. And so I remember going seeing this sports psychologist. He like gave me this track to listen to these meditations. Like I listened to them and stuff. I'm like, I don't know if this works. Like I needed more of this interaction, of this more having a coach and somebody to work through. And so that was kind of in the back of my mind, like, man, there is such a need for people to have somebody to journey along with. And so that kind of fired it up. And then just experiencing, I remember back to 2014, 2015, having a panic attack after I'd graduated from school. And you're like in that transition, we all remember when I was 21 or 22 at the time, trying to figure out and you just feel like an immense amount of pressure to make the right decision. I remember having a panic attack and like going and seeing a counselor and during that time. And then there was just different instances I saw within my family growing up. There was a lot of anxiety. There was a lot of tragedy that happened in my family. So my perspective on the world, very different than a lot of kids. Like I had an amazing childhood, but like there was a lot of, tragic deaths of uncles and grandparents and like that happened quick. And like your perspective changes. So, so I think that all of that was all just leading me in the direction of really getting into this mindset training, because I know how impactful it has been when I hired a coach and started working with a mindset coach, and how it really was what I was missing, and that I was asking like, man, like what else is there? And I know I've told you many a times, like, man, I wish I would have known you when I was in college, because like working on this different speed stuff and laterally and stuff like that would have been so helpful. And the same with a mindset coach. I always have this feeling like I wish that I would have had a mindset coach. And so now Jordan and I are able to be that to other people because we journeyed through things, try and do it on your own, but we're made for connection.
Yeah, I love it. And I'd love to hear, like, do you have a core philosophy? I mean, you and I haven't really dove into this piece, so I'm really interested. Like, do you have a core philosophy or big rocks? Like when I'm coaching, there's certain things like movement efficiency, like things that I want to tick. Like, do you have a core philosophy for yourself or for your clients and athletes when it comes to mindset?
Oh, absolutely. So core philosophy is the number one is clarity. Like if you don't have clarity on who you want to be, where you're going, you're not going anywhere. You're just existing. So clarity, and I love there's a scripture that says like where there's no vision, the people perish. Like you're literally, we always say like if you don't have clarity, you're dying. So once you have clarity, then the next thing that I love to do with my clients is to move into let's go back and see like what are you believing about yourself? Is there anything that is in your subconscious? Our subconscious is really formed between the ages of 5 and 8. And obviously there's different events that happen after that point that it keeps forming. There's certain things but your subconscious, the 5 to 8-year-old space is so important. And so we also learn from school, from just society, from our parents, from teachers, from coaches. We're constantly learning. So is there something that you picked up and along the way that is preventing you and that is blocking you? So we call this blockages. So I'll say clarity blockages. Is there anything that is blocking you from living out your full potential? And so that is the next block that we go to. And then after that, it is really about alignment and really getting aligned with who it is that you want to be. And then you gotta have this action steps. You gotta start living it out. You can't we're not just gonna sit and just talk about it and we're gonna put the work, we're gonna put the reps in, just like you would in a sport, just like you would in the weight room. You got to put the reps in. And so that's the next step. But first you got to get clarity. And a lot of people, they just don't know what they want. And maybe it's you're living what somebody else wants for you. But to really, maybe it's what mom and dad wanted, or what this coach wanted, or this teacher. Well, this is what I see on social media. It's comparison. It's no, what do you truly want? And helping people we have tools to help them to figure out and seek that out.
Yeah, no, I love that. And a couple great points there. Number one, just the idea of clarity. Like you said, I think so often now we're so clouded based on the world around us, social media, right? We're just getting those dopamine hits from the phone. We're not really clear on what we want out of life. Huge. Number two, the second thing that you said that I couldn't agree more with is the idea of an action plan. Because how many people do you know they've got these huge goals and you're like, yes, this person could do this, but they never set the action steps or they put an action plan into place. And so they don't follow up on it, right? It's like those same goals are the same goals 3 months, 6 months later because they never put stuff into action. So I absolutely love that. And I couldn't agree more because I see too many people where they have the goals, but they don't have the action plan on the back end to actually go out and execute. Okay. So something else that I want to talk about, because people talk about confidence a lot, right? And you hear people talk about it, in sports, especially, right? Oh, he's just supremely confident, or oh, she's just not very confident in her game or whatever. How do you define confidence? Number one. And number two, if somebody is struggling with it, how can they work to build it up?
The way that I define confidence is, I think it's a state of being. And I think that confidence is a skill. I think confidence is a skill that we can develop. It's not something you're born with. You're not just born confident. And so I always talk to my clients about you have a choice. We make choices every day. And I like to say before, a lot of times before mindset training, people are making unconscious choices, but then they start working through and get clarity. Then they're making conscious choices on what they want. You can decide, even to somebody who's listening, right? You can decide to be confident right now. You can draw the line in the sand and just make this decision. I am going to be a confident person. Yeah. And once you do that, we already talked about, you have to literally take action on it, and you have to get this momentum going, and you have to start doing hard things, and you have to start building your confidence. But as you're doing it, you have to focus on making progress, on the process. And you're not going to be perfect. And that's where a lot of people get hung up on man, if I miss this, then their confidence go down. I see all the time in a workout, somebody's shooting and they miss a shot and their confidence, they just their body language changes. Yes. And you see it in sports all the time. Well, that person is not confident. And so they need to work on being confident. So I love to really, put people in positions to build their confidence. And you got to I always say you got to speak honey. So the words that you speak to yourself, you need to speak things that are sweet to yourself. And I always say don't speak sriracha. Any of my sriracha thing, I love sriracha, but don't you don't want to speak spicy to yourself. Speak that honey. And I think that when you start celebrating your progress, when you start doing hard things, and you really start, our brain is neuroplastic, and you can we can change, we can rewire, we can renew. You will become a confident person.
Yeah.
period. And I also think that it's surrounding yourself with the right people. I like to call it your starting five. Like if you want to be more confident, surround yourself with confident people, because when you surround yourself with, you're becoming, and you become like the five people you spend the most time with.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. It always reminds me, I don't know if you've heard me talk about this. I feel like I've talked about it on the show before, but the contrasting coaches that I had in my own life growing up, right? Like my basketball coach, God love him. He was a great guy, but man, he was incredibly intense. He was very negative, and just like the words, right? And it felt like as a young person, I did not respond well to that. But it was always such a contrast, because I would go straight from basketball and this negative kind of authoritarian approach to when volleyball, my coaches were always super positive, very upbeat, very uplifting. I'm like, I've only played this sport for like 2 years. How come I'm so much better? But I feel like a big part of that was just the coaches that I had around me. And like you said, the way they talk about you, right? Because like it or not, like if all you hear are negative things, you start to internalize that, versus if all you're hearing are positive things, you start to internalize that too. So I think that's a great point. Great point. So another thing that I'm fascinated by are kind of the stories that we tell ourselves, right? And how those impact us. And obviously, you kind of talked about this earlier. A lot of those negative stories are developed when we're young, right? Maybe 5 to 8. Maybe it's a little bit older. It's, the shot that you missed when you were 11 years old, and now you're afraid to take the big shot when you're 15, 16. So how do we find and maybe identify these negative stories we're telling ourselves? And then from there, how do we reframe those into something more positive? How do we take those negatives and turn them into positive?
Yeah, I would almost say this is probably another one of our foundational core value blocks is stillness, and being still and being quiet. Because a lot of times we're in such this, we get into the race and the rat race of here to there, and like we just go from the moment that we wake up to the moment we go to sleep. Like we aren't really that aware of what we're doing or what we're thinking. And so I think the first step on these stories is like you have to have awareness. Like what are you actually thinking? And the way you do that, I love nature. I love being outside, is like literally like, going on a walk, unplugged from anything. And then we'll talk about, I think later on some journaling that can really help you to figure out these stories you're telling and stuff. But the number one step is awareness. Like, what are you thinking? And I love to ask people these questions, because it's hilarious. Like people be like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know the last time I stopped to think about what I'm thinking about. It's like, well,
yes,
you got to start thinking about what you're thinking about. And then we can go from there. And how do you, rewire this story?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting, because I just think a lot of the people that I've interacted with over the years, and I don't do it at the level that you do, but when you forge some of these relationships over, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you start to hear some of these things, and you get to, people will share stuff with you. And it's like people that you would assume are supremely confident. This is another thing that I think is really interesting. People that you would assume are extremely confident outwardly, or maybe people that are at the highest level of sport. You would be shocked at some of the things that they are saying to themselves, or some of these like internal stories that they have going on in their subconscious. And again, it's like you would never think that from these people that are at that level, right?
Yeah, for sure. It made me think instantly. I have somebody I've worked with that is a really good runner, professional runner, and they were getting ready to go to the Olympic trials, and like they have been running all these races. And I remember them sitting in the room right beside me in our barn, and like just at this loss for words, just like very down, very unconfident, saying like, I just feel like when I get to the start line, like I don't belong. Like I shouldn't be there. So it's what we would call imposter syndrome. Yeah. And I'm thinking like, man, like you're a pro runner. You run like some of the fastest times, I distance times that like I've ever seen somebody be able to run. And like you too, like sometimes you feel like that. It kind of like once you start, I feel like it's something too that people don't really talk about, but you're so right. Like everybody, I don't care who it is, everybody deep down, they have something that they struggle with and that they have to work with. And that is why the stories that we tell ourselves are so powerful. And so the people who have become successful, as we would see in the world, they have told themselves a different story. They have learned how to rewrite their story, how to say something different. And that is why you see them doing so well. Like everybody, we're all human. We all have, we all are living the human experience, and we all experience that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great point too, because I've had this discussion. Obviously I've got this great blend now of, middle and high school age kids, college, pros, people who get paid a lot of money to play sports. And so it's funny when you hear, some of the young kids, I just get so nervous when I'm out there and I feel, and then you talk to a pro and you're like, hey, I still feel that too. I'm human.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think sometimes it helps them to hear that from other people, so they don't feel like they are on this island and it's something unique to them. It's like, no, everybody feels this. Everybody has fear. They have doubt. It's just, hey, in that moment, what are you going to do? Are you going to take that step forward and take the shot and continue to move on? Or are you going to let that kind of just hold you back or just hold you or suppress you, however you want to think about it? But I think that's just such a great point for young people to hear, is that, hey, we're all feeling and living the human experience, and everybody goes through that regardless of level to some extent.
Absolutely. And that's why I love doing what we do, to be able to give those young people, and I'm so passionate about that, to give the young people the tools to know how to start writing their story.
Yes. Well, speaking of talking, let's talk journaling. Because look, I didn't even mean to do this, but it's right here. Come on,
let's go.
I got you. I need to be a little bit more consistent, but I know this is something you're passionate about, right? I remember, hearing you talk about journaling in the past. So let's just start there. Why is journaling important? Let's just start with that. Why is journaling important to you? And then we'll go from there.
I think journaling is important because it makes us pause during the day, whether you have the practice of doing it in the morning or the evening or just once a day, whatever it is. But it allows us to pause and to think about what we're thinking about, and to celebrate. And I love practicing within journaling, like gratitude, to be thankful, because if we don't slow down, I'll never forget my mother-in-law telling me when I had kids, like, make sure you write things down, like funny stories or things that happen, because you will forget. You won't remember. And I'm like, I'll get out of here. Like, I have a great memory. I'll remember everything. Right. And now that my kids are 8 and almost 6, I'm like, dang, like, she was right. Like, I forget some of the things. And thankfully we have iPhones and we have, pictures we can go back and be or be reminded. But it helps us to remember. It helps us to reflect. It helps us to slow down, and it helps you to stay in alignment with who you want to become. And it's just this practice. It's almost like having a conversation with, I like to say, like, your highest self, or like if you almost like you were your own mindset coach, and like you're just having this dialogue of, okay, this is who I want to become. This is who God's called me to become. Like, I'm going to be journaling and taking the steps, and it's really action. And I like to explain it like, we wouldn't go without brushing our teeth, right? Or like, you aren't going to leave dishes with food on them in the sink for very long. Like, you're going to wash them off. You're going to run your dishwasher. And so like journaling is almost like running the dishwasher. It's like brushing your teeth. Like, you gotta, focus on, let's get out, whether, there were some bad things that happened today, or I need to really like decompress and like get this out and write this down so I can move on. And you also celebrate. I think when we brush our teeth, we can celebrate, like, hey, I did a good job. I brushed my teeth, get everything off. So I like to use those two analogies, like, when it comes to journaling, because I think it's such a fundamental task that we should do, but it's so hard to do journaling at the same time. Yes. It's like, why do we not do it?
Right. Well, okay. So there's my next point, right? Like, I think a lot of people that are listening are like, yeah, I can agree. Like, yeah, Courtney, I know I need to journal, but for whatever reason, it's hard, right? Like, even for myself, right? Like, I know it's something I should do more often or more regularly. I'm not perfect with it. So I would love to hear like some practical steps, right? Like, I love practical. So what are some steps for maybe somebody that's listening that wants to get started, and, or maybe they've gotten started in the past, but they can't stick with it. So how do you get started? And maybe more importantly, how do you stick with it?
Yeah. I love the book Atomic Habits, and I always, have the trigger, whether it's you're a coffee drinker and like you have to pick a time that works for you. So maybe coffee and journal, that's what you're going to do. Maybe You're going to do it at lunchtime. That's just going to be the time you do it. Maybe you do it before a workout. We do that with a lot of our clients. Hey, before the workout or after it, like you're going to do your journaling. It's on your nightstand. You do it before bed. Like it's one of those things that comes, like you might say, well, I'm not confident at journaling. I just don't do it. And we just talked about, like, you got to tell yourself, like, I am a journaler. I am confident in journaling. I am consistent, and you have to put it into action. And so get the journal out wherever it needs to be. Start small. Like, you don't have to write a freaking essay, or you're not like,
Right.
you don't have to write, like, it could be as simple as tonight, whoever's listening is like, write down 3 things you're grateful for.
Yeah.
I guarantee that if you write down 3 things you're grateful for every single day, until the end of the year, that you will begin to see yourself shift. Because when we're journaling, we're really tuning into that emotional regulation, the reflection, the intention of how you actually want to experience your life. And it's all through like journaling and just reflecting. And we do that all the time with whether we're working with nutrition coach, with our strength coaches, with like we're recording our shots or workouts. Like we do it with everything else, but we don't take the time to do it with ourselves. So it's also something to do for self-care and to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and one other thing that I've heard you mention before too, is just the idea of having prompts.
Mm-hmm.
So you said, if it's gratitude, okay, hey, what are the 3 things I'm grateful for? Another common one would be like, what are 3 things I have to get done today? Or, whatever, but like not going into it cold, I think is really important, because I used to talk about this years ago when I was writing articles and blogs all the time, right? Like the worst thing ever is just a blank page. So if nothing else, if you outline it, it's easier to write from, right? Because now it's more editing. Same thing here. If you've got prompts, I feel like it's so much easier. And that's one of the things I love about your guys' journal, is they're just those prompts that get things going. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, no, this is way easier than I thought, versus the blank page. That can be pretty daunting to look at.
Absolutely. And as I have been in this industry and worked with clients, it used to be, hey, just like start this journaling. And then one of my clients was like, man, like when I look at the blank page, it's intimidating. Can we have prompts? And so that's when like the prompts became a thing. And now I've taken it even deeper, that whatever a client is working with, so maybe you're struggling with self-worth, maybe it's confidence, maybe it's you're rewiring, whatever you're rewiring around, making your prompts and your questions in alignment with that. So like you're literally focusing every single day on intentional questions. And for some people, I work with a lot of clients who are perfectionists. And so it's really helping and having these questions that are focused on making progress and process. Like, what did I do well today? What did I accomplish today? And that's one of them in our general journal. But it's amazing when you actually write down everything that you accomplish in a day and you sit there and you write it out. It's like, dang, like I just kicked butt today. Like that was an awesome day. Even if you didn't do the journal, you might just feel like it was just a normal day. It was just, maybe it was another day, but like pausing and writing it down, it's like, it gets you into a different state of mind, and you just, I don't know, you sleep better.
Yeah. I will attest to the write everything you accomplish down, because if you're not watching the video, I was raising my hand when she talked about the perfectionist. I may have some of those qualities, but man, when I started doing that, and there were days where I'm like, yo, like 15 things, it's like at the end of the day, you're like, yeah, but no, like I got 10 or 15 really valuable things done today. Not only does it feel really good, but just like it builds that confidence, right? And something you talked about was this idea of action building confidence, right? I think that's one of the things, a lot of times we're not confident, we're not doing the actions necessary to be confident. But man, when you start putting those actions into place, it builds confidence, which increases action and output, which increases confidence. So it's that kind of positive cycle. But no, that's great stuff. I love it. Okay. Now, I think you know this, but I'm really big on actionable, right? So you gave us some actionable things on journaling. And sometimes mindset can just be like kind of I don't know. It's like a hard topic to put your arms around, right? It's like really like ethereal. It's not like, hey, here's how to write a better program. Okay. So here's what I need from you. I would love to know, what are 1 or 2 things? Somebody's listening to this show. They're like, yeah, I want a journal, or yeah, I've got negative stories, whatever the case may be. What are 1 to 2 actionable items that somebody could do right now today to start improving their mindset?
I think the first thing, I'm big as we get started on mindset of asking questions. And so literally just right now asking yourself, like, who do you want to be today?
Yeah.
After Mark, like, who do you want to be today? And asking that question. And when you start getting intentional and you start asking that question to yourself repeatedly over and over every single day, you will start to rewire the way that you think, the way that you live your life and experience it. But it starts with, like, who do you want to be today? Who do you want to be? And then the second thing I would say to help with somebody's mindset, I think one of the most powerful exercises that you can do is to write down all of your responsibilities. Like, get out a piece of paper and write down everything that you do. And I want you to decide, like, what is actually giving me energy and what is draining my energy. And you have to start asking yourself the question, why? Like, why does this drain my energy? And I want you to go deeper and deeper. And I want you to draw a line in the sand, and you're going to have to start saying no. And you're going to have to start taking some of those things away to become who you want to be, which was question one. I think those two things will help you to start to get clarity on the direction that you're going to go.
Okay, that's really interesting because, like, I've heard about that from a business perspective, right? It's like, list all your responsibilities. What are the things that you enjoy or that are high investment or high ROI for you? And all the things that you don't like doing, you delegate or you delete, whatever. But I've never heard about it in the context of mindset. That's really interesting. That's really interesting because that's a different perspective or maybe just a different take on that same kind of topic, you know?
Yeah, there's so many of us, me included. I've done this exercise where when you actually look at everything that you're doing, you're not living an abundant life. Like, you're not living this life and peace, and you're just we like to call it, like, you're just not existing, like you're experiencing, but you're not experiencing life to the fullest, which I believe that we're called to live life abundantly and live it to the full. And you have to have a good visual of everything that you're doing because you can't do everything. And that is, I think, in a mindset, like, that's where you can really get clouded. That's where you can have a lot of noise where it's like, I know you need to do these things, but, like, let's be honest, like, you're doing too much. You need to take stuff away so you can actually focus on yourself, because our society sometimes, when we work on ourselves, we feel like it's, well, I'm being selfish. It's like, no, if you aren't at your best, you can't best serve, whether it's your spouse or your kids or your people that are under you at your job or your clients. Like, you just can't. And so you have got to, and this may, you might take away some things that helps you get more sleep. I think I saw something about sleep. And that's one thing that when we work with clients, is like, you have to optimize your sleep. And if you're doing too much and you're relying on the caffeine, like, you ain't going to sleep at night. One of my clients is like, they drink a ton of caffeine and coffee, and then they're drinking, like, this big energy drink. I just can't sleep at night. And I'm like, like, seriously? Like,
right.
I know, but I just feel like I can't have it. So I think, all that aside, like, those two actionable steps, I think, would really get somebody in the right direction.
No, I love it. Okay. Big question time, friend.
Let's
if
go.
you could alter the space-time continuum and give young Courtney Delks one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would tell young Courtney Delks, you are enough. I think that's something I always felt very supported, very loved. But when you're out in the world and you can get caught up into, like, the doing instead of just being. And so I would just tell myself I was enough.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. Okay. Last but not least, lightning round. 4 fairly short questions. Your answers can be as long or short as you like. Number 1, hopefully we're okay to talk about this. How is the book coming along?
We are definitely okay. Yeah. So I'm writing a book. The book is going to be, the audience is really for females. And it's going to be on mindset. It's going to be from a biblical perspective. And we're just going to dive in. There's going to be actionable steps in it. And we're just going to talk about a lot of the things that females, I feel like, really struggle with. And it doesn't mean, like, guys could read this too. Like, it's going to be about mindset. It might help you understand your wife, your girlfriend, your whatever, the ladies around you better. But it's going to be really geared towards women, and we're just going to talk. We're talking mindset. And so I think I love to read. I would love to be able to meet with everybody, but as a mom, entrepreneur, like you just can't meet with everybody. So this book, I want to get it out into the world just to be of service and to help people all over the world.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I'll definitely read it. I don't care. Because I have obviously plenty of women in my life between wife, daughter, the ladies that I train. So I can't wait to read it. Number 2, do you have a favorite client success story? Like anything that's just like, man, this just really made my day or made my week, year, whatever?
A couple come to mind.
Okay.
One, in the same room right beside me, there's a little mindset meeting space. A year ago in the summer, I had a client that came in the very first session, just broke down. And that's where I really feel my gifting is just to meet people when they're at rock bottom or wherever they're at, and just be able to, instill this enthusiasm, this confidence into them and to help them on their path. And they were ready to quit basketball. They didn't know if they liked it. They just had a bad experience overseas, felt very isolated. And they're at their lowest point. And so a year later, the same client, to see this client joyful, full of peace, vibrant, alive, and going into a second year. This is their third year overseas, but the same with the same club, and just in a completely different stratosphere, like mental space. Like it's completely different. Like that is complete transformation, and that's why that one stands out. And I would say another one would be, and my husband is the one that works every week with them, but Trey Coffin-Wren at Purdue, a year ago, right after, straight off the national championship, like seeing him at our barn, seeing him with this hunger, knowing that Zach Edey was graduating, his minutes were going to increase, and just seeing him so hungry to learn speed, to learn conditioning, and watching him just commit to the process, mentally, physically, spiritually, and like completely just buy in completely. And then he had, the year he had last year, like one of the most improved in the country. And just seeing like that one, like TKR, man, like he gets it, like he understands. And so just to see him to come in where he was kind of at lowest, and to see him just excel and just be enjoying life, and just have such clarity and confidence in himself and who he is, that those two really stand out.
Yeah. Shout out to him, man. He had an amazing year last year. That was really fun to watch. Okay. This next one, totally self-serving. What's the best part of working with me? You shine all kinds of good stuff on me.
I think the best thing with working with Mike is like you're confident and you know your stuff. I like to talk about confidence, like when you're in a basketball huddle, and it's the game winning shot, like, and coach is drawing up a play. Like you want a confident coach that just like when they're writing on the whiteboard the play, and this is what we're doing, you're setting a screen here, you're coming off, where you just like it's going to work. Versus somebody who's unconfident, like you're like, oh, is this even gonna work? So confident. And when it comes to strength conditioning and speed, like you're that guy that like, I want you, clock's going down, you're the one that's writing up the program to get me to the next level. And I also just appreciate, it's real. And you get it. You are married, you have kids, you're an entrepreneur, and so like you understand. And so I think finding a coach that understands some of like what you're going through, or has either they're living it or they've walked through it with other people, that's just, you can't put a price tag on that.
Well, and I'm gonna blow you up here, because I think one of the best things, and so if you're still listening to this, I would say one of the most important things is, as a coach, it's not just as an athlete, right? As an athlete, you want to find the right coach, but vice versa too. And so I've always known, like, hey, look, man, I can hold you a little bit accountable, but I can't be that person that's just dragging you every session, every week. And if there was somebody that on the total opposite end of that, it's you, right? Like all you need is a plan. You're ready to execute. You don't need all that other stuff. Like you're ready to go. You've got that intrinsic motivation. So anyway, shout out to you because I appreciate you. And it's been awesome working with you. Okay. Last but not least, number 4, what's next for Courtney Delks? Obviously you got the book. What else is down the pipeline, so to speak?
Yeah, the book, we really are, so we have a guy coming over Friday to show us the plan. So what we have found over the last couple of years is our place is really a spot that athletes and even like adults with working on their mindset want to retreat to. They like to be here, and like we put them up, like in Airbnbs and stuff, but like creating a space on site. So attached to the barn, like a retreat, like a little studio apartment with a kitchen so people can literally come. Cause I truly believe that you can transform your life. It doesn't take less than 24 hours. You can do it in 48 hours. Sometimes you might need a little bit more time, but like 1 to 3 days or even a half day. And so that is what, we're really feeling called. And so we're looking at plans on that, and then, embarking into being teacher. So, Labor Day kicking off, homeschooling our kids. So I'm really excited. A big focus is going to be on movement. I think movement is the gateway to education. Like you got to move. Yes. And so they're working with, shout out to Sandy. They've been doing we call it Sandy workouts. And so so they've been doing those workouts, and they love them. So, rocking that, and, just excited for what's to come, and just taking steps to keep creating this a unique experience that can help transform lives. That's what's coming up next.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love the vision. I love everything you guys are doing. It's amazing. So Courtney, it's been great catching up with you today. Thank you so much for your time. Where can my listeners find out more about you and all the great work that you're doing?
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram at Compete Training Academy. That's our business one. I also have a personal. It's at Courtney Moses Delks. You can follow along there. And then our website is www.competetrainingacademy.org. And if you want another good podcast to listen to, we also have a podcast. It's called The Compete Mentality. We have stuff out every day of the week. So you can check that out and get your mind right.
I love it. I didn't know it was every day. Man, that's quite the commitment there. I love it.
Yeah, it's a couple of our other trainers, and then Jordan and myself. So we kind of split it between all of them.
It's like a load share or something,
Exactly.
like a work share. I love it.
Exactly. I'm on every Friday. So if you want to listen, every Friday. Yep.
I love it. Awesome. Well, Courtney, again, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, thanks for having me on, and look forward to competing the rest of the way with your family and with iFast.
Yep, love it.